What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another video. That's right. What a day I've had today, I tell you. Last night, I did the video, the NXT Dallas predictions. I did that last night. A little bit late, but I did it nonetheless, like I promised. Went to bed. Saw a new bit of news on the internet, which quite frankly caught my eye and made me happy. So I had two things. Well, I had one thing I was going to talk about, which was the top 5 of my favorite WrestleManias, which I'll get to. And then some sad news popped up this week about 6 hours ago. And it was something I've been dreading. And if you can tell by the title of this video, or the stream, whatever you want to call it, you know what it is. Yeah. I'll get to that in a second. So the following video, though, this video is an honor and dedicated to Kris Travis. So I want to get that out of the way first. We'll save that for last. I want to get rid of these two first. But before we get to the main, or what was the main topic of this video, something came up last night that caught my eye, which I am very pleased about. And like I say, guys, it's a report, okay? It's not guaranteed. We won't know until after WrestleMania. But it's a report, okay? And I've got it here right now. Report. WWE scrapping Divas division and the Women's Championship is set to return after WrestleMania. Hallelujah. Right, I'll read the excuse me, a bit of the article. If it'll come up. There we go. Courtesy of CagesideSeats.com. Link will be in the description below. Okay, so be sure to check it out. It's been high on fans and several wrestlers' wish lists for a while. And according to reports from PWI Insider and SE Scoops, I should say, it's happening. According to those sites, sources WWE will do away with the branding of the women's wrestling as Divas, effective of Monday night, April 4th, Raw in Dallas. Whoever leaves the triple threat match between Charlotte, Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch at WrestleMania 32, with the title somewhat infamously referred to as the butterfly belt, will be the last to carry it, as the company has commissioned a new strip, the WWE Women's Championship. So I'm guessing it won't be the old women's title. It'll be the women's title, but it'll be a different, you know, a newer version, a new belt, if you will, which is reportedly will mimic the look of the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. So it's going to be the new women's title, except it's going to be the WWE title, or mimic the WWE World Championship. So just a smaller version now, with a leather base. No word on the angle yet will transition, but I guess we'll all find out after WrestleMania. If you want to read the full story of that, all the links to it will be in the description below. But, yeah, like I say, guys, it's a report. And like I said on Facebook, please, God, let this happen, because it needs to happen. You know that people don't give a damn about the Divas. And at the end of the day, these women wrestlers that are in WWE are not divas anyway. The women's wrestlers who can kick ass, basically. And I would imagine a majority of them could kick ass, could whip, beat people up, and have a great matches. It's just a majority of them, not necessarily saying all of them, are probably being shackled and not being able to do it. I mean, take the NXT series that they had on the WWE Network. Sasha Banks came up and said that she was told when she first started to train to be a diva, not strike, not do all that stuff. And she even didn't want to do it. So, it says a lot at the end of the day that, it takes the NXT women's division to potentially make this happen. Because that's what it's about at the end of the day. I mean, they've done it down at the NXT women's division. I thought, what the hell? Let's do it up here. Let's get it up there as well. And they should do. Because at the end of the day, they're not divas. They're just women's wrestlers, but they've been told to do other things by you-know-who, Mr. Out of Touch himself, Vince McMahon. That's why Triple H is probably pulling his hair out, quite frankly. But it looks like that, from what I've just read there, that Charlotte, Sasha Banks, and Becky Lynch, whoever walks out that triple threat match as the Divas champion, may very well be the last person to do so. What will happen is what will happen at the end of the day. I'm all for it. Whatever happens. I don't know who's going to be the champion coming out of that triple threat match. I already made my prediction. I believe I went with Sasha Banks. Again, nothing against Becky. But, yeah. This needs to happen, and it needs to happen now. So let's hope Raw April 4th that this very much happens. And should the WrestleMania live stream go well, I may do a live stream on Raw as well. We'll have to wait and see. I'll definitely review it, though. That review will definitely happen, no doubt. Right. Now that that's over with, like I say, if you want to read more about this, the link will be in the description below on YouTube. The link will be in the description below as well if this audio goes up on SoundCloud. So guys, I'm back. I saw that happening. You haven't missed much. I paused it there, and then I will edit that out. That little bit out you've just seen there. I truly, deeply apologize for that. That will be edited out. Guarantee that. Like I say, I truly apologize for that. Very much apologize for that indeed. It's just my Wi-Fi, guys. My connection. It's not very good. Actually, it is good when it wants to be, but at the end today it's just been playing up. So I deeply apologize for that. Anyway, as I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted, but everything's back to normal now and that. So thankfully, everything was still running. It just went off a minute because of the audio issues, but the connection issues, if you will. So I apologize for that. I will definitely edit that bit out. I've edited that out, so there's nothing to worry about in that respects. Now for the main centerpiece of this video, or what was supposed to be the main centerpiece of this video. And that was top 5 favorite WrestleManias. Coming in at number 5, I guess you could say I'm a little biased about this, to be honest, because it was my very first WrestleMania, and I'm only saying it because it was my very first WrestleMania that I ever watched, and that was WrestleMania 8. Excuse me. Sitting there as a kid, growing up in Middlesbrough, at the Palladium Shops in Martin Bairn Road, watching my very first ever WrestleMania. It was good for me in a way. It was good for me to start off with as that, because I didn't know, like I said, I don't know much about wrestling as I do now. At least I like to think as I do now. Back then, They had Hogan versus Flair at the time, and then they changed it to Savage versus Flair and Hogan versus Sid. It was Hogan's last match until he came back a year later. So it was, at the time, it wasn't the best WrestleMania, but like I say, it was my favorite WrestleMania, just the base of the fact that it was, my very first, WWE WrestleMania, my very first WrestleMania pay-per-view. And like I say, it was very good, start to finish. It was a good outing. There was a few matches on there that really didn't do much for me in terms of that. I mean, looking back on it now, I think, why were they even on there? Then it was Macho Man when he won the championship after holding Flair's tights and that. And yes, he held Flair's tights and won the championship. Hogan then beats Sid after Papa Shango interferes, and then the return of a guy who got fired 1 year ago, about a couple of months, maybe 6 months beforehand at Survivor Series. Not Survivor Series, SummerSlam rather, and that was the Ultimate Warrior. But the match that stole the show on that WrestleMania was Bret Hart versus Rowdy Piper, the Hot Rod, for the Intercontinental Championship. All thanks to what happened. Bret came down with the flu. He was supposed to face Mountie. I believe it was the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. But they had it in Canada because they had him drop the title to Mountie in Canada. And then Mountie defends the title a couple of days later at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, like it was scheduled to do, against Rowdy Piper. Piper wins it. All of that leading into WrestleMania, and the match stole the show, quite frankly. And in a way, looking back on it, many people believe that WrestleMania was saved by that match because, like I say, it wasn't the best WrestleMania, but it was my favorite. It was a number 5 for me because it was my very first WrestleMania. That's how I'm biased. Many of you people probably won't agree with that, but hey, that's just me. That's just me growing up as a kid. Beautiful thing it was too, I might add. Number 4 was WrestleMania 5. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, why WrestleMania 5? Now, granted, I wasn't around for this. Or if I was around for this, it wasn't my very first WrestleMania. I was born in 84, and this happened 87, 88 time. No, 89, because WrestleMania 6 was in 90. And I look back on it, and I have seen this WrestleMania, and this WrestleMania was based on Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan. Mega Powers exploding. The reason why I liked it so much, and it was my favorite WrestleMania, because it was probably the only WrestleMania event, or the only time where they built they built the shit out of the story that they did. Now, granted, this whole thing started before WrestleMania the previous year, but it also started a couple of months prior to it. Because Hogan lost the WWF Championship to Andre, and he got screwed out of it, and all this double refereeing, even though it was both the Hebner brothers and whatever. That happened, if you read the dirt sheets, because Hogan said he would allow that to happen only if he could win the WWF title at a WrestleMania, which he did, WrestleMania 5. He didn't win it at WrestleMania 4, but he won it at 5. Now, Randy Savage was scheduled to go into WrestleMania 4 to win the Intercontinental Championship, but Honky didn't want to do a job to him, and Savage was pissed off at the time, from what I've read, and he was on the verge of joining Crockett in the old NWA. So for Vince McMahon to smooth things over, from what I've read, they put him in the tournament, and he won the tournament, even though it was supposed to be DiBiase that won the tournament. And obviously, Hogan came in, hit Savage with the chair at the back and everything like that, and one thing led to another. And then it just went on from there, because they went into a tag team. They were tag teaming at SummerSlam against the Mega Bucks, and then there was the tag team at the Survivor Series, all leading into the main event when Savage turned on Hogan. And then the build from there went straight into WrestleMania, and then Hogan won the match. So I think that was probably the only time of that era, of the time of the WWE anyway, that a main event was built for WrestleMania, at least. A main event was built for a full year, because it even led to to what happened at Survivor Series. They had a bit of an argument at Royal Rumble as well of '89, the very first Royal Rumble on pay-per-view, and then one thing led to another from there, and it was just a great, well-told story which ended at Mania. And I don't think they've ever done that since. They tried that with The Rock, but they used social media. They didn't build it the way they did back then, with The Rock and John Cena thing. They used social media. The build-in for that match was basically a verbal spat. And there was the other times where Rock would come back, the Survivor Series tag match and whatever. And hell, even the WrestleMania before their match at WrestleMania, where he came back and rock bottomed Cena and cost the double the count out and everything, and came back and rock's bottom Cena and yada yada yada. You know where I'm going with that. But that was my favorite WrestleMania based on that moment, because it was just so good, and the match was even good as well. And then obviously the other highlight of that pay per view as well, that WrestleMania, was Rick Rude winning the IC title thanks to Bobby Heenan. And I bring that up because they need to get Rick Rude in the Hall of Fame. But anyway, I digress. That was number 4. Number 3, I get into some stick for this. WrestleMania 20. Now, a lot of good matches on there, apart from Goldberg and Brock Lesnar. But the reason why it was good at WrestleMania, that there was a good WrestleMania for me, and one of my favorites, was basically based on the ending. Eddie Guerrero coming out after the Invisible Man, as he's now known, Chris Benoit, won the WWE World the gold belt, the World Championship. Eddie beat Angle early in the evening to retain the title. Questionable, but hell, that was Eddie for you. And both of them celebrated at the end, with both the belts. These two guys that bust their ass for about 18 odd years to get to the spot where they're at. Eddie winning the title 1 month prior at No Way Out, retaining it that night against Kurt Angle, and Chris Benoit going 60 minutes in the Royal Rumble to win that Royal Rumble match and getting that shot at WrestleMania, even though he was on SmackDown at the time. But obviously there was a loophole for him to go to WrestleMania and face the world champion, which led to Eddie winning the title from Brock Lesnar at No Way Out, thanks to Goldberg. Hence Goldberg Brock Lesnar, which turned into a shambles. All of that, everything was told well and everything, but like I said, the weak match of that night was Goldberg and Brock Lesnar, which was a disappointment. And the other reason it was a weak match, and it turned out the way it did, it was because of what happened after it, because both of them left the next day. Goldberg left because he was done with WWE, and Brock Lesnar left because apparently he wanted to pursue an NFL career, which failed. That's why he ended up in UFC. So, all in all, it was a good WrestleMania, but it's going to be one of them forgotten WrestleManias now, which is a shame, because it's like what happened at SummerSlam. You asked that question now, who did Randy Orton beat to become the youngest World Heavyweight Champion of all time? You would probably give an answer saying the Invisible Man, if you speak in WWE terms, of course. But, yeah, it is a crying shame, but it is what it is at the end of the day. But that was my favorite WrestleMania. Number 3 favorite WrestleMania of all time. Number 2 WrestleMania was WrestleMania 19, I would have to say. WrestleMania 19. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, why is that? Well, my favorite WrestleMania, because it was seeing Hogan again wrestle again at a Mania, facing Vince McMahon, 18 odd years in the making, which was fantastic. They both had a good match. I enjoyed the street fight, even a cameo appearance from Roddy Piper. A tag team match involving Chris Benoit, which is whatever. Him and Rhino against Los Guerreros against Team Angle, I think they were called then, or the world's greatest tag team, for the WWE tag team titles. The World Tag Team Championships were defended on the pre-show. Go figure. I think it was Lance Storm and Val Venus against RVD and Kane. Even Matt Hardy defended the Cruiserweight title. Undertaker ends his streak, even though it was a 2-on-1 handicap match with Undertaker. Even though it was supposed to be Undertaker and Nathan Jones, it turned out to be Undertaker versus Big Show and A-Train, Jason Albert, Mr. NXT head trainer. But the thing that fascinated me about that WrestleMania was seeing 2 wrestlers in the main event. Not sports entertainers, professional wrestlers. These 2 were two amateur wrestlers, 1-on-1 in the main event for the WWE title, which was Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar. the night Kurt Angle got his neck broken from the F5. Not Brock's fault, not blaming Brock. You know, shit happens, as the saying is. But man, you saying that Brock didn't know what the fuck he was doing anyway, quite frankly, considering he did a shooting star press and drove his face straight into the canvas, which nearly killed him. You know, nearly fucked him up. He walked out of that with a concussion. So this goes to show. But it was a really good match and a hell of a main event, and it was fascinating to see two wrestlers in the main event. And yeah, they delivered. They delivered a good match, and then at SummerSlam they had the rematch and everything, and it was very good stuff to watch. It really was. And also the last match for Rock and Austin took place that match as well, and The Rock finally beat him. You know, 2-1 on matches anyway, but it was what it was. And number one, probably in some people's minds at least, the greatest WrestleMania of all time. The greatest WrestleMania of all time, and that was WrestleMania 17, and it was one of my favorite WrestleManias. Even though I went to college the next day so bummed out that my favorite wrestler at the time and my favorite person in period, Stone Cold Steve Austin, turned heel. I was so bummed out. I got into some trouble back in the day, and I had to go to these like special classes after school, after college, when I went and did my college and everything. I had to go to this special class thing after college, which was fun to do anyway. It was just something to do. I was on part-time anyway, but it was based on what happened to me at college, because something bad happened. I got into some trouble at college, which I'm not very proud of, but hey, it happened. And they made me out to be some sort of psychopath. So that's why I ended up doing these classes after college and everything. And I was just not in the mood for it after that WrestleMania. I stayed up and watched WrestleMania, and Austin turning heel. I was so bummed out. Just bummed that my idol, you know, the guy who I looked up to, even though he didn't consider himself a role model, God damn it, he was my role model. I just didn't believe it, and I just didn't want to believe that he turned heel. But he did. And in the long run anyway, it turned out to be the worst thing ever. So that was my top 5 WrestleManias, favorite WrestleManias. Hope you guys enjoyed that. And yeah, now we get to the other main talking point of this video. British wrestler Kris Travis has died from stomach cancer. This guy had stomach cancer. I think he was diagnosed with it last year, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong, but he was diagnosed with it last year, I believe. I think he was diagnosed with it, if I'm not mistaken, on TNA's British Boot Camp. I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it was. He was diagnosed with it anyway. And unfortunately, he has lost the battle. And I've got the article here from The Independent. British wrestler Kris Travis dies aged 32 from stomach cancer. Which is a scary thing, because if you look at the picture that it's on there, he was in good nick. The British wrestler Kris Travis has died from stomach cancer aged 32. Despite being diagnosed with the disease in 2014, the Sheffield native made a remarkable comeback and returned to the ring 1 year later, which he did. He had a few matches as well. You know, he had a match with Matty Skull at a Progress show, made his appearance in ICW as well. Best known by his nickname, Shooting Star, Travis was a mainstay in the UK wrestling scene. Again, appeared on TNA British Boot Camp as well. Having appeared and he appeared also in the promotions Preston City Wrestling, PCW, Southside, Revolution Pro Wrestling, and Progress Wrestling as well. And I believe he was their champion in PCW as well. And also made a couple of appearances, the other appearance here and there for ICW. Tributes to the wrestler have been flowing in. The article is on The Independent that I'm reading from here. I will put the link to that in the description below here on YouTube or SoundCloud. If you're hearing this, the audio on SoundCloud will be in there as well. So be sure to check that out. And that about wraps it up, guys, for this video. Hope you've enjoyed it. This video is dedicated to Kris Travis. My memories of Kris Travis were seeing him wrestle in the ring, Progress Wrestling ICW, and he was very good. A very good wrestler. A standout, one of the standouts. And I believe may have won or could have had the potential to win TNA British Boom Camp if this stomach cancer didn't happen. He may have got his contract for TNA and worked in TNA, but you know, shit happens and that. So from what I got to see from Kris Travis, he was a very good wrestler. And like I said on Twitter, it's a very sad day for British wrestling. He also had a great tag team with Martin Kirby as well. Coming out to that CKY music, 96 Quite Bitter Beings, which is one of my favorite songs. And yeah, it's just a sad day that such a talented wrestler has gone too early, and it's because of cancer, which leads me to worry about, because there's somebody in my family, even though she's okay, that's suffering from from cancer. So kind of gets me to worry about that in a way, but I'm not that worried about it. It's just a sad day all around. I'm feeling the effects of this cancer because, you know, cancer is cancer. It's a disease. It's a poison, and there needs to be a cure for it. And it's not been a very good year so far in terms of 2016, in terms of people, because we've lost so many people. David Bowie's gone, Lemmy's gone, and now this talented British wrestler is no longer with us now, and it's an absolute shame. But like I say, guys, this video was dedicated to Kris Travis. Thank you for the memories. May you rest in peace. May you rest in peace. This is Coke that I'm drinking right now, so this one's for you. Right there. This one's for you. And I'll end this video, guys. Oh, excuse me. I'll end this video with this. Right there. As you can see, that's the thumbnail. Right there. Rest in peace, Kris Travis. You will be missed. My name is Anthony Walker, guys. Until next time, I'll see you next time. Check out the live stream this coming Sunday. Check out more information. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. There's a lot more of this to come. Thanks for the memories, Kris Travis. Thanks, guys, for watching. Apologies for any problems. And I'll see you next time. Peace out.